And welcome to the Unhinged History Podcast, the podcast where Angie and I join our forces each week and we present each other brand new stories of history that we have yet to discover. And we try to see if the other one's never heard of it before.
That's the fun part.
I mean, if this is your first time here, welcome. This isn't. Yay!
I love that. Hi, new friends.
We have 3 listeners in Nepal.
Really? In Nepal?
In Nepal. Like, we've seen Nepal pop up before, but to actually kind of see and go, oh my gosh, they're back. They came back in April. You came back.
We have friends. Like, we have friends beside us.
I mean, like, look, I don't want to, put a name on it and then end this thing prematurely. Maybe, it's not time for define the relationship. So maybe we should just hold off on naming that.
Okay, I'm sorry. Potential friends.
Yeah. So what have you been up to?
When you just feel like your world is just, everything is chaotic.
No, never.
Never. Oh, it's a strange sensation, but just the good old chaos of life. We've got everybody doing the thing and everybody working, and it's all very exciting. And I'm really looking forward to a nap. I'll have to schedule it for 6 months out, but that's fine.
Okay.
Now, how about yourself?
I mean, I'm in this wonderful, hey, we're getting ready to fix that knee. I mean, it's been broken for what, 2 decades? What's another chunk of time before we get that surgery scheduled?
I like it. Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where, yeah, just kind of, I'm in the hurry up and wait stage.
Not the euphoric, it's already healed up stage.
Yeah, no.
I got you.
So it's, I have it. Hubs bought me a knee brace that has an ice pack pocket.
Oh, yeah. I've seen these before.
Yeah. And we just rotate ice packs out, in and out all day long. We wait till it becomes room temp and then we swap it out for a cold one. This isn't what I thought late 30s approaching 40s would be like. I thought, hey, get me a cold one would be something very different.
Yeah.
But I'm getting ready for my AARP card as far as I'm concerned because I use my pill containers to tell me what day of the week it is, and get me a cold one has stopped referring to alcohol, and I hate it here.
I will tell you that I think it was my 35th birthday. I think we went out to dinner, like very low key, had a lovely evening. And the next day I came down with like one of my first really big bouts of vertigo.
Okay.
And totally, like, I would like to say that I was up all night doing the mid-30s, have a good time thing, pour me a cold one, if you will. But we did not. But anyway, the following day at work, it hit me, and I was leaving the facilities, if you will, and thankfully one of my sales guys was with me when I almost hit the floor. He caught me, called my husband, and my husband came and got me, and then later said after I was able to like formally look at him again, like without falling over or wanting to puke, because that's how it works in my brain, he jokingly said, I really didn't think 35 was when I was going to have to start putting you to bed and changing your clothes for you. And I fully now understand what in sickness and in health means.
Yeah.
I mean, a real...
Hubs had to deal with in sickness and in health, in sickness and in injury. Because I just started walking again. I just got mobility back, because Lyme disease sidelined me, and I would just run out of steps and I would just stop walking middle of the thing wherever I was, and she'd be like, well, that's it. I'm done.
Gonna sit here now. Thanks. Bye.
my legs have stopped communicating with my brain. So here's where I'm at until I'm not.
Yeah.
And so then to be like, hey, by the way, we're gonna start taking you off antibiotics, and massive knee injury goes, remember me? I'm back for my second act.
We met in your 20s. It was a
I
very
wasn't
exciting time for
even
me
I
then.
wasn't even 20. I was right before moving into college.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay.
And so it's like having a knee injury that can drink, because my knee injury is 21 this year. And it's like I talk to to the surgeon, and he'll look at my MRI and he'll be like, how old is this injury? Because he's looking at the MRI and he can see, like, the layers of abuse that have transpired, and I'm sure once he
Right.
gets in there, he's going to see the scar tissue and go, dear God, there's cave paintings on this scar tissue.
It's gonna say it's old enough to vote.
I mean, it's been voting. And apparently, like, because I had said, Doc, why can you riddle me this? Like, my knee it doesn't hurt so much as I get nauseous. And he goes, okay. I would say it's not unusual, but I would say it's likely psychosomatic. You've stopped listening to knee pain, and your knee has decided to tell your brain a different signal so that you'll listen to it.
Okay.
I'm like,
Okay.
well, fantastic. It chose the loud one, and
We couldn't have gone with like something, I don't know, a little bit more polite.
in my knee's defense, it likely has been, blaring a klaxon for the last 2 decades, and here I am doing my thing, going, yeah, no, it's fine. I'll just put a brace on. I'm going to keep going.
You're gonna keep on doing it
I'm going
because
to go.
that's what we do.
I'm going to go hiking, and then I'm going to go to work, and then I will put ice on it maybe if I remember.
Tomorrow, if I think about it. Mm-hmm. I feel
Wait,
this.
I'm going to edit this out, but do you want to hear the best story of my knee going out?
Yes.
Okay. And you'll know exactly why I'm editing this out here shortly. Um, so when I first moved to Portland, lived in a house with two other girls. And,
Okay.
like the house next door was also owned by the same people. And that was a house of three girls. And we had keys to each other's homes. So it was really like six girls living together.
Right, right, right.
We would just come
Okay.
and go out of each other's homes. Well, I was home alone, and I decided I was going to do some yard work in the backyard. And I figured, it's a beautiful sunny day. I'm going to weed the garden topless.
As you do.
So I'm weeding the garden when my knee goes out. And so I'm covered in dirt and grime and not much else.
I need you to know the image I have of you is magnificent.
Oh, it gets even better. Because I'm like, okay, I can drag my carcass into the living room, and I can use that as like a place to like stage myself to like go get the things I need, because that's like the halfway point. So I drag myself into the living room, pull myself onto the couch, and I'm like, oh, this hurts. I'm just in agony. And that's when I hear one roommate's family's minivan pull into
Oh.
and I can't run. I can't walk. And I'm sitting there covered in dirt, not much else. And I grab one of the throw pillows, one of the large throw pillows, and I put it over my body, and I'm just seated on the couch.
And that's how Theresa spent the next 3 days.
And it was great because, like, had a conversation with like her dad, and just chatting like everything's normal.
Grandma
And
showed up, brought a casserole.
I wasn't quite that bad, but it was like mom and dad walked in, and as soon as like both were in separate places, at that point I had enough gumption to pull myself up and seek,
Refuge.
yeah, and refuge I did. And I don't think I've ever even told her now that her dad and I have had a conversation in person when I was topless.
I love that.
Do you want to tell me your story? Because I'm curious on what you got.
I mean, I can. My story's not particularly long, but it's one of my favorites.
I mean, mine got long. I may only tell half of it.
Okay. I'll go if you want me to go.
Go,
I had to just
go.
check my source. Okay. Okay. So do you remember that Mulder meme I sent you the other day?
Yeah, it was
The
the one where I immediately sent you the David Duchovny, Why Don't You Love Me?
yes, yes, yes. Okay. Uh so let's get some paranormal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So my sources are an article from golnola.com, ghostcitytours.com, fleasderoy.org, nola.com, the Canadian Encyclopedia.
Wait a minute. So we're doing a lot of like New Orleans, and now you've got the Canadian Encyclopedia.
hmm
Okay, I want you to know I'm
Yeah.
paying attention.
Yeah, yeah, I mean you are. Yeah, we got the Canadian Encyclopedia and a quick listen to an episode of the Haunted History Chronicles podcast because I love this story so much and there's so many different like venues you can take with it, like different avenues. So I wanted to hear somebody else's take on it.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you the story of the Casquette Girls of New Orleans.
I don't know anything about this.
Oh, okay, I'm so excited. Then let's get paranormal. So my story starts roughly 300 years ago. In the American South, which at the time was obviously still colonies of European powers, parts of Mississippi, Alabama, and LA or LA as in Louisiana. LA was in my notes.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, I'm
Louisiana,
confused. My
not
geography is
California.
not that bad typically.
You know, parts of Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana are controlled by the French. And in these areas, they have sent so my these particular group of Frenchmen were not the bougie Frenchmen that we kind of picture, the
Yeah.
incredibly well dressed, croissant eating gentlemen of the bougie class. These were like hard, almost feral hunter trappers, explorers, and traders, and mostly male that were working in this area of the world, and they were also rarely ever home. So the local Catholic priests, or what I'm kind of imagining is probably more like missionaries than actually like situated parish priests, because this is 300 years ago and we're just now building up these types of establishments in this area.
Hmm.
Anyways, these fellas start to get a little concerned, either because these men are totally unruly or because they're choosing companionship with local natives. Take your pick. We're unsure of what their real reason behind this was. But they feel the need to solve this problem with the importation of proper women.
I'm down for this.
Right? Good, honest, probably Catholic, virgin women with whom they could start a family and settle into the familial ways. So they ask the bishops and the mayors of French port cities for their unmarried women. And the bishops and the mayors, immediately seeing the benefits of this, empty their jails and brothels and send the women packing to the New World.
This I heard about this actually.
Yeah, okay, so you can imagine that these women are probably not the most homemakery and probably not the best solution for what the priests are considering a bit of a degenerate population.
You know, they're good with the wifely duties if the wifely duties are restricted to one scenario.
There you go. And so the local priests are like, well, we need to find something, a little bit of a different option. The local lawmakers, all of these guys are looking around, thinking of things they can do when they decide to petition the King of France, Louis the 15th. I assume he is now remembering the work of his great grandfather, Louis the 14th, the Sun King, the visionary of Versailles, who solved a similar problem further north in Canada between 1663 and 1673. He, for lack of a better word, imported roughly 800 young, often orphaned or destitute virtuous women. They were referred to as les filles du roi, Their expenses, ranging from travel to room and board, was completely covered by the king, as well as giving them a small trousseau, like their, travel wardrobe,
Okay.
and a dowry. Here you go. Most of their dowries were about 50 livres, which today would be around $5,000. Fun fact, in a hard year, the dowry would be replaced by provisions from the king's storehouses. So if we're having a hard financial year, you get grain and corn instead.
Here's a cheese wheel and a bottle of wine. Go about your way.
Yeah. Um, so that was Louis the 14th's idea. So he transfers these young ladies, in his mind are of good virtue. They're not out. They weren't picked from jails. They weren't picked from brothels. They were picked from orphanages and nunneries and places where you would find perhaps an orphaned or destitute young lady that's not trying to be a prostitute. And he transferred them over to Canada to settle that area and create families and colonies of good God-fearing Christians. So fast forward to the 1700s, our folks in the South are looking at this thinking, oh, well, that works. Let's do that. Let's do the thing. Like, my grandfather did it. It goes great. I'm going to send you over some young ladies. So the first group of young ladies arrives in Mobile, Alabama in 1704.
This is post the sex workers.
Yes.
Okay.
Then in 1719, some more are transferred to Biloxi. And then in 1728 to New Orleans, where our story begins. So here's where it gets really fun for me because of where the story goes from here. So these young ladies, we don't know the number of young ladies that were on this ship, but essentially they are now known today as the Casquette Girls or the Casquette.
Do we know why they're called the Casket Girls? I feel
Yep.
like this is important.
It is important. So they were given a small traveling trunk to carry their wardrobe, which consisted of 2 dresses, 2 petticoats, 6 headdresses, and underthings.
Okay.
Legend has it that the trunks were shaped like small caskets.
Oh, no.
One source that, for the life of me, I have known this story for years and years and years, so I cannot tell you what the source for this is, but like one legend is that they were shaped like caskets in case the girls didn't survive the journey.
No.
They would have a way to, I don't know, make it into their sea
Reduce,
burial.
reuse, recycle?
I guess, yeah. But in actuality, they probably were not shaped like caskets as we know them today at all. They were just small trunks. But this is New Orleans we're talking about, and we can't not use our imagination.
Fair. That checks.
Right? So these girls disembark from their ship, and they are pale, they're gaunt, probably a little bit sickly. They've been on the open ocean for like 6 months. They did stop port in the Caribbean at least once. And then they're given to the Ursuline nuns, who have just arrived themselves only the year before. And the job of the Ursuline nuns is to care for them and educate them until a proper marriage match shows up.
So out of one nunnery into another.
Essentially, yeah. But they know they're going to be married. Like, it's not a secret to them. Their goal is to make a good match and become polite, respectable members of society and turn this backwood fur trading kind of wild area into, the glorious city of New Orleans.
To take them from the Hudson's Bay Company to the Saks Fifth Avenue owning conglomerates that.
Yes, exactly that.
All right.
Yes, and to, I don't know, maybe civilize the men that have been over there for so long. So
isn't that the thing? We all get into marriages thinking that we're going to change the men. The men will change. They'll be different after we're married.
That's what they thought.
Oh man. Naivete.
Some of these girls probably did get into an advantageous marriage, but for the most part, it sounds like that the bulk of them were either not married off, or their men that they were married to were less than kind At one point, the king actually demanded the return of the girls, whichever ones were remaining or whichever ones they could get their hands on. We don't know if they actually got returned back to France. But now, when I say girls, I'm saying like they're
No,
teenagers and
they're
young
women.
ladies.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm translating.
they're
I'm
yeah,
imagining a world where the king has take backsies.
yeah. And so the interesting thing to me about that is we don't know if that actually happened. We just know that he demanded their return. So my assumption is at least some returned.
But like, why? What happened that he goes, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna fill my nunneries back up with my girls.
Well, I'm going to assume so. This is only one ship. So it's not all of them. It's just this particular import of ladies to New Orleans, who the bulk of them, like I said, were not treated well. Were not given to advantageous marriages. Were given to drunkards and men that just wouldn't provide a good home.
You know, okay,
So
so the more I'm gonna interrupt again, the more stories we do about this, the more I find myself loving the French kings.
same.
Because it's like we have Prince Louis Philippe, who is just like, bet I'm gonna go to war over one burned down pastry shop.
Yep.
And then this guy who's just like, I had a couple people write me letters, and I'm just gonna assume this was an entire bad batch that just was not treated right. You guys left this group of milk in the sun too long, so I'm gonna recall it all.
Yeah, that could have very easily been exactly what happened. I think it's interesting to note that we don't actually know if they were returned or how he even came to find out that they were not being treated well. Here's where the story gets fun. So, we know that at this point, New Orleans is a city that is um, filled with a menagerie of different people groups, different belief systems, and different ideas, right? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of the foundation of New Orleans history to begin with. The very first thing that's noted about these girls because of their pale complexion and their gauntness and their sickliness is that there's got to be at least one vampire on board.
Yes. Yes.
So and here's where the avenues go. You can kind of take your story how you wish. I like the belief that they were not the ones that introduced vampires to New Orleans, but rather what was in their caskets was instead. There's one storyline that suggests it was not the girls themselves, but maybe some of them were duped by some rather roguish gentlemen in Europe to take the place of their clothing in the casket and travel to the new world via the darkness of the casket.
So they're assuming some person says, hey, you know how you have just enough room for two dresses? How about
Oh,
how about
me.
I hide there instead?
Yep. Yep.
I'm gonna call a big old load of hogwash because first off, if your dress or if your casket is only big enough for two dresses, a grown ass man ain't going in there.
Well, right, but this is New Orleans and this is how stories form their mythos, if you will, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So their caskets, their trunks, if you will, are now much bigger in our imaginations than they started. And they can hold a full person, whether it's a young lady or a 6'2" dashing vampire from France. Either way, they fit. Um, there is a they do know for their one thing they know for sure is that when the trunks came into New Orleans, they were stored in the attic of the Ursuline convent.
Not in the rooms where the girls are. Like, okay, I
Yeah,
may
I
be
don't
overthinking this. They probably, logically, they probably took their clothes out of the trunks and then put the empty shells up there.
I would guess. Okay, but what's really interesting about that is the the Ursuline convent's attic has shutters on it. One source says there are 800 nails keeping the shutters closed, with the belief that they were blessed by the Pope,
Okay.
possibly brought over when the nuns themselves came from Europe, possibly blessed after the fact.
Could you imagine being the Pope and being like, okay, wait, hold on. I've got a lot of things to do today. I'm going to preemptively bless all of this
800 nails.
water, your 800 nails, on the off chance that there is a vampiric outbreak somewhere in the new world. And then I've got to go do all of these relics over here. I've got to continue to pray over them. And then I have to, continue running the church.
Yeah, so when I think about that part of the story, because it genuinely makes me wonder how much the Vatican has in its archives, um, how did that conversation go with the Pope's assistant that day? Like, sir, I've got you blessing the skull of John the Baptist, as well as these 800 nails that may or may not be used to ward off a vampire infection in New Orleans. We're unsure, sir.
After the gym, before the doctor's appointment, and after we've kissed babies and glad handed a couple of officials, I need you to hold your hands over these buckets of iron
Mm-hmm.
and just,
All good. Yeah.
little bless me, Father, for I have, oh, nope, that's the wrong one. Obviously I'm
Yeah.
not Catholic, but
Yeah. So that is that's a belief that the nails or and they're like rods, like building spike
okay,
nails.
so
They're
you're
not
saying
small.
they're not carpet tacks. They're the
No.
ones that look like they hung the Lord and Savior on the cross.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
railroad, the thinner railroad spike.
The thinner railroad spikes. Yeah, that's my understanding of them. Um but what's really interesting is so as I said before, the trunks were kept up in the attic when or on the third story, whatever you want to call it. When the nuns went back after some time to either retrieve something from the trunks, to retrieve the trunks, I'm unclear as to how they ended up there in the first place. Everything was empty. There was no personal items left, nothing in any of the trunks.
Okay, but see, now we're back. Okay, you get to a fresh country and you're like, you know what I'm going to do now that I'm here? I'm going to take all these things that I've been waiting for the new world, all two dresses and all of
Mm-hmm.
my underwear,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to just put it up in the trunk, all of it up there.
And
The
call it good.
one,
So my assumption is because they're being cared for at a convent is perhaps that there is a specific dress code they must abide by, and these dresses and headdresses and underwear that they have is for when they actually marry, is kind of the way I understand it.
so you're imagining that all of their undergarments are straight lingerie and there's not a
No,
practical pair.
no. I just mean mean to say like the things in that trunk are meant to be used when they've started their life outside of the convent.
Okay. All right. So basically, they come in, it's less of a convent like I'm imagining and more of a step
Boarding
up
school.
nun 4729. We're going to do the full cavity search.
Yeah, we're gonna call it that. And then when the girl received a marriage match, she would get her trunk and take it to her
Change
new
out of your
home.
bright orange habit, and now you get to put on street clothes.
That's how I imagine it, because to me that's what makes the most sense when you think about the fact that like why else would you store all the trunks in another room, like in another place away from where the girls are sleeping?
It's weird because if, I mean, I would, okay, I'm getting hung up on details. Carry on.
Yeah. But anyway, so like I said, when the nuns get up there to retrieve the trunks, they're empty. There's nothing there, and the windows are still sealed shut. So immediately the local community assumes either the girls are in fact vampires,
All of them.
or yeah,
Okay.
or they brought vampires with them. Because at this point, a lot of interesting things start happening in New Orleans at the time. One source says that some of these girls actually had some type of maybe it was like a virus or a cough that came from the travel, but they would actually spit up blood. I don't think it was
So,
tuberculosis, but something that would cause some kind of
I mean, but that honestly could be pneumonia because that's
right. Like there's a lot of things that it could be, and some of these girls are stated to have having had that on top of coming back pale and not healthy looking. Um, I don't know. I love the idea that we we as a whole in society believe that if you believe in vampires or if you believe in the paranormal in this way, that they came to the US via New Orleans via a boat designed by the king to carry young ladies to proper marriage matches in the new world. We're just gonna hop on board and maybe suck everyone dry and start afresh in the new world.
Okay. Conspiracy
Yeah,
theory.
right?
King knows that he's got a vampiric lord among the. And he's like,
Okay.
okay, how about I empty the nunneries and you sneak on board there, and then you're out of my hair, and we unleash you on the Yanks.
I mean, hey, here's the thing. That's the best part about legends, right? Like, we don't know what parts are truth and what are not, other than we have dates and we know that they did show up and that's why they showed up. What's really interesting to note about all of this, though, and where it obviously becomes a legend, is that the Ursuline convent that the nuns were supposed to have lived in with these young ladies was actually not built until 1734 and then again rebuilt in 1751 because the technique that was used to build it wasn't real great with the Louisiana humidity. So
Mm,
it kind of just eroded away. So they had to rebuild it. But all that to say, there's some years between 1727 and 1734. So it's interesting to me that I could see it if it was like, okay, the nuns arrived and then they were building their convent and then the girls arrived all like within a couple month time span for their trunks to be up in the attic. There's at least 5 years at the
right.
minimum, right? So like really, where were they stored until then? Where were they living until then?
I mean, we've already established a couple plot holes.
Right. Right. But the great imagination of New Orleans is like, no, 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 no. It's fine. It's vampires. Like, we're good.
That's their default, right?
Right. Like we accept it, but the idea that this is where that story came from, this is where like the great vampire stories of America come from, is these unfortunate girls that ended up on this ship to the New World in hopes of a better life because they didn't have anything back in France is
Mm,
how we got vampires into the US. I think it's just such a fun story.
I love it.
Follow up. In 1978, supposedly there was an investigation that wanted to prove this theory true or false, that there were vampires up in the attic of the
Okay,
convent.
now hold on. As soon as we get there, I'm just imagining vampire researcher being the title of some basement dweller human who obviously has multiple side hustles.
Yeah. So supposedly, I haven't found I would like to find footage of this world out there. If you have this footage, it would be awesome to see. I'll have to Google it because I didn't, because I love the idea of actually not knowing. But supposedly there's footage that in 1978 these two vampire hunters, or whatever you want to call them, decided they're going to go prove this. So they set up cameras outside the windows across the street. This group has already been informed that they are trespassing and loitering because they tried to set up shop within the convent grounds.
Oh, jeez.
So I don't know, maybe they wait a couple of days and then they just decide we're going to set up shop across the street. So they shut up shop across the street. The next morning, their bodies are found, ripped to shreds, and drained of blood. Supposedly, the
Wait a minute.
footage,
Legitimately done?
that's how the story goes.
No, no, wait. Do we have police reports on this?
I don't know. I have chosen for myself to not look further into it because I love the unknown of it.
I dislike you for right now for that.
I'm sorry. You could Google it if you want. I'll see what I can
I
find for
am
you, but I
sorry.
love the
I'm not real
idea.
sorry because there are vampires.
Here's the thing though, like, do you want to take the vampire off?
Do I want to
Like,
take the vampire off? No,
yes.
but do I want to see the actual police report? Yes.
I feel like if you're gonna ask for a New Orleans police report that involves vampires anytime after, I don't know, 1965, you're gonna get a lot.
I mean, do I imagine the thing still smells like booze? Of course. Is there going to be some powdered sugar from beignets in the corner? I'm
Oh God, I
okay with
hope
that.
so. Supposedly, in the footage, you see the shutters that are supposed to be nailed shut by the nails blessed by the Pope. Which, oh, P.S., there's another time the Pope actually came to New Orleans and it said he blessed the shutters again. Supposedly, in the footage, you see them waving in the wind like they're open,
Could you imagine?
which only helps perpetuate this story.
The Pope's itinerary again. We're back there where he's like, the shutters in the
Again?
attic?
We did
Really?
this. Okay.
You guys have some weird, like, I thought we were just going to hang out and chat and talk about, like, I don't know, Jesus.
Like Pope things. I want to know so much about the Pope and his job. I love every detail of the story. It all makes me happy. I never get tired of reading about it. I never get tired of learning about it. I never get tired of the different stories that have come out of it.
I just
Like,
don't want to look at the actual facts around it.
I don't want to watch the 1978 investigation video. Like, I just don't. I'm happy believing that there is something I don't understand.
I am frustrated.
I'm so sorry, but I'm super not. I'm sorry that I'm not sorry.
Listen, Demi Lovato, I'm up to here with this. Like, I am you have now just shotgunned the rest of my day as I'm trying to figure out where I can get access to this.
It might be online. Like I said, I didn't look. I've heard that story multiple times that there were investigators that were ripped to shreds and drained of their blood and found the next morning. Heard that story multiple times, and I don't want to say I never questioned it. I never wanted to know what
I
actually happened.
I'm going to fill out a FOIA request after this just to get my hands on that documentation. And I want you to know in advance that I'm already up to here with the bureaucracy that you have foisted upon me.
You're welcome, I guess. Would you like
You
to
are
talk to the
not like this.
management?
Oh, I kind of want to.
Do you remember that time I told you I was super ticked off about that guy that changed the calendar?
Numa.
Yeah. Are you feeling that way right now?
Yeah, I'm that perturbed at you to where just randomly someone's going to say vampires. I'm going to scream, Angie! Yeah, I'm
You're
just going to
welcome.
swear under my breath every time somebody mentions vampires or your name from here on out.
You're welcome. So I delightedly told you the story of how vampires got into America and ruined the rest of your day at simultaneously at the same time. I should get a high five for that.
I'll let somebody else give that to you because if I do it, it'll be with a chair.
And it'll not be to my hand, it'll be to my face.
I mean, look, however you choose to catch my high five is up to you.
With these hands.
Yeah. Play a game of catch.
Hey, you can look it up. I'm not stopping you. I just don't need to know myself.
Well, congratulations for those who are still sticking into the history podcast. Boy, I don't know why you stuck around.
Hey, listen, there was some history there, okay? I just wanted to bring some paranormal history to
This was
the
just the
party.
history you would read off the bathroom walls.
Absolutely. Minus the good part that I got from the Canadian Encyclopedia.
Okay, wait, let's go back to that. What is the part that you got from the Canadian Encyclopedia?
The Le Filles du Roi, the young ladies that were
Okay.
imported to Canada for their.
All right, because that was a huge outlier in your sources. So
There you go. Yeah, I had to get a Canadian source on the Canadian women, you know?
that checks. That checks.
Yeah, I needed to make sure I understood my dates and my times, and if their situation was any different than the situation of the girls being, later being transferred to the South. Like, was it the same story twice, or how did it work? So there
They
is real history there.
Okay, all right. All right. That's all right. I'm done. I'm done busting your balls.
Carry on. You can. I know you're mad because I don't have a video to show you.
I don't care about the video. I just want the police report. Like I don't want to watch any bad B-level horror film. Like,
Are
that's
you
not what I'm in.
sure?
I mean, I want to know that you did, but I don't want to.
I want you to do it for me.
Yeah, like that's what I'm in for, right? Like,
I mean, I have watched a ton of B-rated vampire movies to know that when you hear about a investigation happening where the investigators are drained of their blood the following morning, you don't look into it because then you're next. Just
I'm
saying.
moving on. I'm moving on because I am just getting more and more angsty.
I'm so sorry. I don't want you to be angsty.
I don't think that that's a concern of yours. I'm going to be honest.
Angsty is never my goal.
Okay.
Slightly perturbed that I don't have a police report for you does make me smile just a little bit.
That okay. Fair.
There.
So the other day, I thought for sure and certain that you were on to me when you sent me a TikTok. You
What TikTok? Which one?
you sent me a TikTok of the man in the Roman helmet who does history stories.
Oh, I love him. Yeah.
I
Roman
know.
helmet guy.
Yes. Um, and he covered Sergeant Reckless the horse.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna tell you about Sergeant Stubby the dog.
Oh, I love Sargent. Is he a bulldog?
Mixed breed, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
like I thought kind of pit bull the way he looks, but I could see bulldog. But okay, so my sources, Connecticut's official state website.
It hit me right out the gate with an official state website.
Yep. The Lore podcast, they have an episode called Seriously Ill. There is an article in the New York Times from December 31st, 1922.
Okay.
But
1922?
1922.
Okay.
If I get to 1922, it is okay. So there's that. And then if I have the opportunity, then I will hit you with another one, depending on how long this gets, with the ConnecticutHistory.org entitled Jack Brutus, Connecticut Dog Warrior We Knew.
I love all of these names.
Okay. So story of Stubby actually starts at the beginning of the Great War in Europe from 1914 to 1917. The French, Germans, and others are all fighting with each other for control of France and Europe. And then in April of 1917, America finally enters the war, you know, after we stopped for breakfast. And we basically saunter into every event with like a Starbucks in hand.
And our sunglasses like half down. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that checks actually 100%.
Mm-hmm. So it's about this time that Connecticut is combining several of its groups to actually send them over, right? So there's a like this regiment didn't have enough people, so they combined the first regiment with the second regiment. Okay, and a bunch of military jargon and stuff that I don't really care about. But as all this is happening, there is a dog that wanders onto the military grounds, and
Okay.
he becomes the unofficial mascot of this group of humans.
I love that you refer to them as humans.
I mean, like, because I could say a group of men. I don't know. I've decided to try to stick to humans as a way to describe people to avoid men, women, like humans, group of humans.
Okay. Okay.
Because I'm sure that there were probably a couple of women serving that we don't think about, the forgotten. So I just say humans. Get them all.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah. And then when they mess me up, I'll call them monsters. So
Do you?
yeah. So Stubby wanders onto the encampment and he befriends a bunch of these soldiers. And in October of 1917, the unit ships out for France. And it's at this time this is not a small lap dog. Somebody shoves him into their trench coat, walks aboard the USS Minnesota.
So is this like I'm getting the image of the people in New York that can only ride the subway if their dogs can fit in a bag?
And so they put their husky in their hiking backpack and just walk. Yeah. Like it's that level of nonsense. So they smuggle this dog, this medium breed dog
Okay.
on board in a trench coat, like you do. And as they get into the water, like they're far away from land, that's when it's like, wait a minute, did I just hear a bark? All right.
No, Private Tyler over there's got a tummy ache.
Yeah, he's got a barking cough. I mean,
It's weird. Just got it.
he just didn't get his whooping cough shots. He's not gonna be around children. It's not a big deal. Just let it go. Okay, so as all this is happening, times are not good in France. The American expeditionary forces are looked on as second-class soldiers and are not trusted without French oversight. And trench warfare is combined with deadly gas that took its toll on both the men and their spirits. So it's bad news bears. Cue this dog showing up. Stubby did his part for providing morale-lifting visits up and down the line and an occasionally early warning about gas attacks, or by waking a sleeping sentry to alert him to a German attack. So this is like the best time to have a dog.
Yeah. Oh,
So
my word.
I know you hear this, you're like, oh my gosh, go puppies, good boy.
I'm gonna give you all the treats.
So in April of 1918, the Americans and the 102nd Infantry, those are the combination of forces from Connecticut, they finally get their chance to prove their mettle, and they participate in a raid on a German-held town of
You guys, I want you all to know her face is amazing right now.
Shripre. We're going with Shripre.
I like it.
Yeah, it's close enough. And if it's not, I didn't take German.
Perfect.
As the Germans withdrew, they threw hand grenades at their pursuing allies. Stubby got a little overenthusiastic and found himself on top of a trench when a grenade went off and was wounded in the foreleg.
No.
This occurred in the vicinity of Dead Man's Curve, which is this road outside of Shripre, and so named because to negotiate this curve, vehicles had to slow down, making them an easy target for German artillery.
Oh, okay.
This is not the place to get injured. And it was after the recapture of the Chateau Thierry, the women of the town made Stubby a chamois blanket embroidered with the flags of the Allies.
Oh, I love that.
Yes. The blanket.
What are you doing this evening? I'm needlepointing for the dog next door.
For the best little boy, the best dog. Who's a good boy.
That's exactly what I'm seeing.
The blanket also held his wound stripe, 3 service chevrons, and numerous medals.
That is a good boy.
A good boy. The first of which was presented to him at yet another name I won't try to pronounce, which is the home of Joan of Arc.
Okay.
All right. Actually, I think I might go for it. Neufchâteau.
Okay. The 9th castle?
I think new to N-E-U.
How does it?
N-E-U-F.
That's 9th. 9.
Again.
Anyway,
I took Japanese.
I love it.
In the Argonne, Stubby ferreted out a German spy in hiding by holding onto the seat of his pants.
So it's like the sunscreen commercial?
Yeah, it's exactly like that. Yep.
Oh my gosh,
just like
cute.
the copper tone little toddler.
Copper tone, that's what it is.
I'm with you. Yeah, you stalled long enough for my brain to pull it up, so thank you.
I was over here thinking of the salt company, and I'm like, that's not what it's
Morton's?
called.
No, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And so when Stubby apprehended the German soldier, they confiscated the German's Iron Cross, and Stubby wore it on the butt portion of his blanket for many years. The Iron Cross had unfortunately fallen victim to time and is no longer with Stubby, but many of his other decorations and souvenirs remain and are displayed with him today.
Okay.
So Stubby was also gassed several times. Eventually, he ended up in the hospital when his master, Corporal J. Robert Conroy was wounded. It
Okay.
was also after doing hospital duty for a while, he and Conroy returned to the 102nd and spent the remainder of the war with that unit. Stubby also was smuggled back home the same way he entered the war, although by this time he was so well known that you would have had to suspect one or two general officers looked the other way as he went aboard the ship to sail home and muster out with the rest of the regiment.
I absolutely would have looked the other way.
There are reports that when Stubby was smuggled onto the boat, is either smuggled onto the boat or later on into the war, one of the officers was a little like, man, dog. The dog saluted him. And then he was like, well,
Yeah,
I
okay.
mean, all right, it's good enough. I can't, you know.
Can't tell him no now. He is a good boy. Oh
Mm-hmm.
no.
So even though this is now after the war, this isn't where his story ends.
Okay.
This is where he actually becomes a celebrity.
I love him. I want to pet him.
He was made a lifetime member of the American Legion and marched in every Legion parade and attended every Legion convention from the end of the war until his death. He was written about in practically every newspaper in the country at one time or another. He met 3 presidents. He met
Wow.
Wilson, Harding, and Coolidge. He was a lifetime member of the Red Cross and YMCA.
Because he got scared. I gotta go swimming, gotta work
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
The Y offered him 3 bones a day and a place to sleep for the rest of his life, and he regularly hit the campaign trail for recruiting members for the American Red Cross and for selling victory bonds.
Clever.
I know.
That is the goodest boy.
In 1921, General Blackjack Pershing, what a name.
Uh,
What a name.
oh my, excuse me. I have to make a note about this because I only read about General Blackjack Pershing.
Yeah,
Okay.
Pershing, who was the supreme commander of the American forces during the war, pinned Stubby with a gold hero dog's medal that was commissioned by the Humane Society or Humane Education Society that was the forerunner to the current Humane Society.
That's cool.
He was so famous that the Grand Hotel Majestic in New York City lifted its ban on dogs so that Stubby could stay there when he was en route to one of his many visits to Washington.
I love knowing that somewhere there's a concierge losing his absolute crap because a dog is now officially can stay in the hotel.
Could you imagine the campaigning for that? It's like, no, okay, look, okay. All right, look, first, I think we really need to do this. I think this law is, or this rule is kind of stupid, but hey, okay, the publicity, that's what I'm going to lead with. You need to do it for the publicity, but hey, we could let the dog in. Yeah. So those are the things.
Mm-hmm.
So his owner, J. Robert Conroy, he goes
Who
to
is at this point just his PR guy.
Yeah, basically,
Because
just his manager. That's really all
yeah.
he's doing. But he goes to Georgetown to study law. Stubby became the mascot for the football team, joining the long list of Georgetown Hoyas.
I would have never put the two together. I love that.
During halftime, he would nudge a football around the field that would delight the crowd.
Of course.
And the little trick with the football became a standard feature for the repertoire of Georgetown mascots throughout the 20s and 30s and is thought by some to be the origin of the halftime show.
As it should be.
I think it's better than most halftime shows.
I would rather have puppies any day.
In 1925, he had his portrait painted by Charles Ayer Whipple, who was the artist to the Capitol in Washington, D.C., and that portrait currently hangs in the Regimental Museum at New Haven,
Connecticut.
Yep. In
Oh my
1926, Stubby finally passed on. His obituary in the New York Times was 3 columns wide by half a page long, considerably more than many notables of his day.
Because he was the goodest boy.
He was eulogized by many from Machine Gun Parker, his old regimental commander, to Clarence Edwards, the wartime commander of the 26th Division. They all mourned his passing. His
Machine
remains,
Gun Parker.
Machine Gun Parker.
My God, your story's got some great names in it.
But see, Machine Gun Parker is all in quotes because I'm assuming, that was just the name he picked up during the war.
Yeah, okay. As the gunner, that makes sense, yeah.
But like, Blackjack Pershing, there were
We
no
got it, yeah.
quotation marks in sight.
Okay. I love
His
it.
remains were preserved and presented for display purposes to the Smithsonian. You can see him all taxidermied up with his coat and all of his medals at the Smithsonian.
So you can stop by Lawn Chair Larry's chair and then go on over and pet
see
the goodest boy. Oh,
and I'm not done
what
yet.
A day. What a day.
You ready? Because I ain't done. Now, while he was super cool, he is not. Because this was before dogs were officially a part of military. Now we have like militarily trained dogs and all that kind of stuff. Did you ever hear about the dog that served in the Civil War?
I don't think so.
There is a dog named Jack Brutus, or Old Jack.
Oh, I love that. My cat's name is Jack.
Okay. And this was like a little blip that I kind of went, ooh, and I wanted to learn more, but I couldn't. I'm sure there's more, but I didn't have time to find it. So let me read to you about Old Jack. And this will be the last, the only other animal I have in mind. He's born in Cumberland, Maine in 1891. He led an exciting life even before his stint in the military as part of Company K, the 1st Connecticut Volunteer Infantry.
So Connecticut just has dogs. That's what I'm hearing.
Dude, Connecticut is where you go, apparently.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this was like, wait, what? I need to go to Connecticut.
I like this.
According to Private George B. Thayer, who wrote Company K's history, Jack had friends in most of the cities in New England, although his associations with the traveling public at the West End Hotel in Portland. Frequently, he visited in homes, taking passage in steamers and boarding some train and returning to Portland in due time. In his travels, Thayer claims, Jack Brutus visited Boston, New Brunswick, New York, and many other cities on steamer lines. And I should note that Jack is a mastiff.
Okay, that's so much better than what I was imagining.
Yes.
I love mastiffs.
And I will share photos of Jack, Old Jack, because there are photos from the Civil War of this best dog in like, it's black and white, but you see him with a hooded cape.
Okay.
And it is just incredible. So Company K met Old Jack while stationed at Fort Preble in Portland, Maine in May of 1898. Jack quickly became a favorite to the soldiers and eventually became the official mascot. He went and traveled with the unit as they encamped up and down the eastern seaboard, providing coastal defense during the Spanish-American War. Jack was a large breed dog and often had health issues throughout his service with Company K. During a heat spell at Camp Alger near the Falls Church, Virginia, Jack had trouble breathing and suffered in the heat. Thayer noted, quote, "Poor Jack, that noble mastiff we brought in from Portland was suffering with extreme heat, and it is doubtful if he survives. Fearing for Jack's life, the men took to nursing him, and he eventually recovered." This is my best part. Jack also had a snoring problem.
Of course, well, yeah, because he's a mastiff.
Yeah. The men on night duty, to allow the men to sleep in their tents and to remain that way, often enticed Jack far away from camp so that his snoring did not disturb the sleeping soldiers. When the loudest snorer elections took place, Jack came in second.
I need to know who came in first.
I bet that person's deeply embarrassed that you lost to the dog or that you beat the dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because who else needs to be enticed out of the camp? So
they're
why?
they're out there like on opposite sides, a mile away.
Yeah, just convincing, like that there's just bears out.
Like, Jack, I need you to sit and be a good boy. Private Crawford, I'm gonna need you to just stay here and work the night shift, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Wagoner Edward Ahern mustered out of the army in late 1898, and when he did, he took Jack Brutus home with him. Old Jack died from spinal troubles and constipation while under a physician's care on November 20th, 1898, but will always be remembered as a loyal Connecticut war dog.
I love that you had to tell me constipation was part of it.
It was, like, unlike you, I'm going to do my homework. I even went to find a grave to see if I could find the gravestone of Jack Brutus.
Hey,
Spoiler alert, I
I
couldn't.
I gave you an inflation count for Libras.
That's fair.
Thank you.
All right, I will see if I can share my screen to show you a picture of Jack.
I
Because
cannot wait to see him.
he's a good boy.
Oh, Theresa has started screen. Oh my gosh, I love him.
Yes. Isn't he amazing?
He looks so. He's got a little. Oh my god, what does he
Like,
have?
I think that's a rifle
It's a
that
rifle. Yeah, it is.
they positioned him with the rifle under his cloak.
Oh my gosh, I love him. I want to pet him. And yes, he definitely has snoring problems.
Yes, he is the best boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that is the story of the two dogs in the army before that was a thing.
I'm going to have to ask our very dear friend who was a kennel master for the Air Force if he knows about either of them.
Dollars to donuts, he doesn't. Well, he might have heard of Stubby, but I mean, I bet he didn't know about Jack Brutus.
Jack Brutus is so cute. I can't even. I've already Googled him so that I could look at more, like hoping to find more pictures.
There's one, I didn't put it in my notes. Yeah, of that one where he's under the tent, just laying down with all the other
He's
soldiers.
so
It's more of a
big.
lifestyle shot from the Civil War, which is not something I thought I would ever look for or long for.
Okay, so he served the Spanish American War. Is that's what
Yeah, a
we're?
Spanish American. I lied earlier and said civil because that's the kind of facts you can get from me.
He is so freaking cute.
I know.
I won't burn my face in his face. I bet you he slobbered so much.
Oh, I bet.
I'm totally picturing, like, you know how Stubby kept the guy by the seat of his pants?
Yep.
All Jack has to do is like just put his paw on you and like open
I
his
bet he
mouth
had
just a
paws the
little.
size of dinner plates.
Oh, they had to be. I mean, when you look at that picture, he's massive.
Yeah, well,
He's bigger than my face for sure. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. I'm in love.
Mm-hmm.
He's so cute. He's so serious.
I mean, when you have a gun strapped to your side, that is not the time to be smiling and goofing off, Angie.
Oh,
You gotta have your war face on.
what if, and hear me out, your war face is smiling and goofing off because it is just what it is, and it also freaks the other side out a little bit that you're grinning.
While I don't doubt, it does seem like an easy target.
Okay.
I mean,
He's so cute. I cannot get over how cute he is. definitely not a vampire stuck in a box traveling across the US. No, no, no. He is getting the goodest pets and all the snacks. How much
What
do you think
if
he ate a day?
3 small humans? What if he was a vampire, but nobody suspected him because of he's the goodest boy?
Listen, I'd be his friend. Yeah.
Come sit next to me. Yeah, you're gonna lick my face. Ah, my neck.
Oh no! A
And the dog's
gratuitous
broke in
Quentin
right at that moment.
Tarantino.
I let
Oh
the
my
puppy
goodness.
stay. That's inviting terror, but she was the
She's
easiest one.
she's you're talking about dogs. She just wants to know what's up. She's a little bit jealous.
We've never called her the goodest boy because she's not the goodest. She's not the goodest.
But she is awfully cute.
She is awfully cute. She's also a terror.
The cute ones usually are. Yeah. Jack, our youngest cat, who is like, at some point he swallowed a softball, and that's like that's how his stomach operates, you know? Like he's just fluff. He is the most problematic. Yeah. We don't need an alarm because he wakes me up every morning at 6 a.m. on the dot. It's breakfast time. Madam, it's breakfast time. You put this large gate up so I couldn't come down the hallway and wake you up. I will sing the song of my people louder.
Listen, Miss Angie, I would like my food contract renewed.
In fact, I don't know if you know, but I'm wasting away.
And allow me to enter negotiations with my loudest plea.
Indeed. While the other cat is sitting in the hallway because he can jump the gate, but he doesn't meow very loud. His meows are very quiet. So he just sits at the door and waits patiently.
He doesn't need to yell. Somebody else is doing his
The work
campaigning.
for him. Oh,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, jerks. Good thing they're cute.
Well, on that note, as I'm watching chaos unfold, and I have to keep turning my head to see if the wall's being chewed through, um, I would say it would make sense for us to wrap this up because who knows what fresh hell is going to approach.
I love it. Yes, let's do that. I
So
promise you my next story will have a police report attached if it needs to be.
please and thank you.
I'm
Just
sorry.
just the modicum of effort.
Just the disrespect I put on you today.
I mean, you will be covering therapy bills and any fees associated with this FOIA request. Just FYI.
It
Expect your Venmo.
involves a new phone. Who dis?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm imagining. If you have enjoyed our shenanigans and wish to hear me push harder for sources, please continue. You can rate, review, and subscribe. Share this with all the peeps who you feel need to have, and share it with people who don't. If you are the driver in a 15-hour car ride,
You
cue
pick.
this up, hit play again, and tell them, don't touch that station. Don't touch that station.
It's mine. Smack hands.
Exactly. Own it.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
if we've messed something up, like I said that old Jack Brutus was a part of the Civil War and didn't correct myself later on, and you have the facts and got the receipts, if you have Angie's missing police report, you can send it to us at unhinged.historypod@gmail.com.
I love it.
And until then, join us
Bye.
next week. Bye.